Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club of South Asia. We are delighted to host a fellow journalist from Myanmar, a country which is our neighbor, but we know so little about it, particularly because of the developments in that country. And on the 1st of February, it will be 3 years since the last coup d'etat happened. So, since our friend was coming to Delhi and we invited him, tell us what is going on in your country. So, may I now request Prakash to introduce our guest?
Thank you. Welcome all of you and our distinguished guest, Mr. Chan. I think as I go through his CV, it's a very powerful, CV in the sense that he's the counselor of the Myanmar Press Council, then chairman E-Commerce Association of Myanmar, then he has been chairman of IMA Group, which deals with media, finance, digital, and property sectors. So it is a good combination of media as well as entrepreneurship. And by education, the MBA from Nanyang Technological University, very famous university in Singapore. And he has advanced computing skills and great experience in public, speaking, which we all will listen to him now. So with such, distinguished, background, I'm quite sure we'll be benefiting and we'll be educated of the happenings in Myanmar, which is one of our most important, bordering country, our neighbor. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Prakash. May I now invite our friend U.A. Chan. He will first make a presentation and then he will speak about his country.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. I would like to come down so that I can move myself around. Okay, just a basic salient key points. I will not be taking too much of the time so that you can devote my time to your time to asking more questions. Yeah. So next, please. Somebody has to press, I think. Yeah. So this is just a summary of that. Right. Next, you can move on to next. Okay, so going back a little bit in history, I'm sure you know that Myanmar went through to a democratic transition in 2010. Yeah, that was that period, 2011, 2015. It's called President Thein Sein government. During that time, Myanmar economic growth was pretty good. In the highest growth rate, it achieved the highest growth rate of 8.5%. Which is quite substantial in the year, I think, 2013. Thereafter, all of you also know that this lady also interviewed the Aung San Suu Kyi, that's the Aung San Suu Kyi government, right? So that was 2016, 2020. So that was, during that time, the performance was pretty bad. But you don't have to believe me, but if you look at the World Bank statistics, Myanmar became the poorest country in Southeast Asia in 2017 to 2018 financial year. Right. So if you follow the accountability and responsibility concept, the wealth of the nation is the responsibility of the government. So the government in charge is responsible. Because, for example, like Cambodia and Laos are always behind us in terms of the GDP per capita. Right. And then 2017 we become the poorest. But that's not the reason for the change of government. The reason in the 2020 elections, there was a major voter fraud, right? There are altogether like 22 million eligible voters in the country. The actual number of votes counted is 33 million. So that is like 11 million of votes over. They just say, so all these links after that, you can take the statistics, you can share the fraud statistics and all these. Because, and I give you another example, about around 200,000 of people above the age of 100 voted in the election. If Myanmar had that many centurions, how do they call that, people above the age of 100? If Myanmar had that many centurions or centurions, Myanmar will be the healthiest country in the whole world, even better than Japan. Japan only have like 100,000 people over the age of 100. Myanmar people who 100 over the age of 100 plus alive and kicking so that they can go and vote is more than 200,000 people. So that's just an example of how fraudulent the election is. Right, so they're more than 200. Knowing that Myanmar, in terms of healthcare score by WHO, Myanmar is 190 in the whole world in terms of the healthcare. So based on that, how can Myanmar have population that much? This is just an example of how the biggest, and there are so many people, there are like 1 million or so people who voted 3 times. Myanmar IC system, advanced like India, what is the card you call Ayat lah? What is the India IC card called? Aadhaar, right? It's not in nowhere as near advanced as India ID card or China IC system. So there was a major voters fraud during the election. So what do you do when you cheated on an exam? What do you think we should do? Right, because elections commission was also appointed by the existing government. At that time was the NLD government. So there was a voters fraud, and they are not addressing, and they are continuing to form the new government. So what else? What other options do we have? What other options the rest of the political parties have? None. So everybody turned to the only institution who can take power, the military, and the military take control. Whether you call it coup d'etat or whatever other reasons, there's a terminology, but that's how it happens. So I have interviewed one political insider about this happening. Because a lot of questions are there. People ask, don't you go and talk to Aung San Suu Kyi? Don't you go and write letters? They did so many times. Senior generals write to go and see her so many times. She doesn't care. She didn't go and meet with them, right? She just proceeded to form the new government. So if you are in the other person's shoes, what would you do with that type of fraud? Yeah. So obviously, based on hindsight, Myanmar government could have gathered the international community, including the Indian people from Indian side or China side or some Western side, to see the actual evidence of fraud, to confirm that there is a major fraud going on, right? To get the support of the international community. But obviously, our government is not very strong in that instance, so that's what happened. So the West got boycott. The West boycott the country. That's what happened. Okay, next please. So after the coup, obviously, a lot of the supporters, NNCP referring to NUG National Union Government, this is the exile government, so-called formed by the MPs of the fraudulent election, MPs that are selected through fraudulent election, NLD, CRPH. CRPH is also another members of parliament group, and the PDF, People Defense Force. So they formed that and they started attacking the government infrastructure and everything. Yeah, so a lot of evidence of attacks and a lot of infrastructure attack statistics you can find in the links there. And the worst thing is media has become a tool for the terrorists, where 20% of the donations of terrorists through the conversation they say is going to the writing fake news on the Facebook. Yeah, so current status is fake news are still being generated out of Chiang Mai in Thailand. Yeah, a lot of fake media agencies are there. And then allegedly Thailand CIA headquarters of Thailand is also in Chiang Mai. Allegedly they are funding that. So they're non-stop producing the fake news that is not true. Yeah, next please. Yeah, obviously these are the reason why these eventually now we also know that they are not winning anyway. Yeah, now the issue is not these terrorist issue anymore. Now it's the issues at the borders. Yeah, so there is they are losing out. They eventually, because they are basing on hatred, resentment, envy. They are going against the country. They are pro destruction, and they are asking all the civil servants at that time many years ago to do the civil disobedient movement. So that's what they are doing. Yeah, so there's so many factors that I write about it. Why these things they will not win. Next, please. And then Facebook, through their algorithm, is not helping either. So Facebook, this is a collection within 1 month, how many misinformation, fake news come out of all these exile media groups, right? So Facebook is, in fact, Facebook is the internet in Myanmar. The people only look at Facebook, no other thing. There's an internet usage population of 24 million. How many people use Facebook? 24 million. Yeah, so the Facebook has no accountability. Everybody can post anonymous, right? I can say that Naira can marry 5 wives on the Facebook with under anonymous name, right? Nobody can sue me. Facebook is not going to disclose a name, so that's the problem with that. It exacerbated the problem. It makes the problem worse. Next, please.
Yes.
Sorry, BS, a little bit rude, bullshit. Go back, please.
Yes.
Where? Oh, sorry. It's a not very polite word. It's bullshit. Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, next, please. Yeah. Case in point is I give you empirical evidence of what I face when I go and talk about. I went to Delhi. Delhi is in East Timor. To cover on a topic on the media challenges in Southeast Asia. So I talk about Myanmar as well in front of including the UN people, ambassadors and all these things, about 200 strong audience. Then thereafter, when I come back to Myanmar, then I held a press conference to explain our work. In Kenya also, I went there to Kenya, Nairobi, talk about all together with the Mr. Naya. Yeah, so talk about this work. Then the news started to spread about my work after the press conference, because among the people who are coming from the press conference, there are people who are anti-administration. Next, please. Then that's the issue. They say they wanted democracy, and at the same time, when the narrative is not to their liking, that's where the news fake stories start. Right? The media that produce the most fake news from Myanmar is this media. You can read the name yourself. Right? So spread hatred, name calling, issue death threats to myself, attacking my staff, my people, my place of work. And so cyber terrorism to attack my businesses, because I also do my own businesses as well. Yeah, so I presented the story. I sent the story to the Facebook CEO as well as loads of World Press Council, loads of press councils as well, as evidence that this has happened. Right? Because now they have deleted the things. Yeah, next. Yeah, these are examples of, these are example of all the wrong information. Yeah, they created the story out of nothing. Except that, yeah. So as if my dad is a Navy admiral, just in case your guys, he's very close in India, relations with India. So it is as if that I was under his instruction and he was there at the meeting. Yeah, so I was as if I was instructed, and I'm with the guy with the no brain who just follow whatever instructions given. Yeah, that's next, please. So then, for example, all these things, I belong to who, and I was the business director of UOB, which is totally not true. How can I be a director of Singapore Bank? No way, Jose. Right, and all these things are, yeah. And my father has 4 children, which is also not true. Also, my father only has 3 children. Yeah, so all these things they created, and they will show my sister's name and all these things. So that is how widespread the attack is. Next, please. Yeah, and plus that this is where the death threats come in. Right, this is asking me to report to the Facebook, and asking people not to buy my things, asking people not to buy any of my company products, that type of thing. Next, please. And this is where the debt trust come in. Yeah, this is an example. If you have a translator, you can translate it. The first one on the left, you see, make him bleed on the street, right? Better. Next one is better let all his dog's families die rather than being alive, right? Put him in the list of the people to be killed. Yeah, so that threats is what happened when the narrative is not to their liking, and they call it democracy. Next, please. Yeah, so this one with his speech, there's no need to find people to kill, right? That's swear word. Yeah, so this is just an example. You can just get people to translate. You don't have to believe me. People who understand Burmese to translate. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, I speak like just I said to you. I didn't speak any other thing. But when what I speak is not to their liking, that's what I go. That's why I don't know whether we are deserving of democracy or that's my dad right here. This is with the India Navy chief at that time, Suresh Maha, I think. Yeah. So yeah. So he is the Navy chief there. So he pushed the Myanmar Navy to get number 15 in this world, right? So he did, and he is the one who initially started to arrange to buy the submarine from India. Yeah, and then we have, because of his efforts, we have a lot of more cooperations and training. Yeah, more cooperations and training between India and Myanmar, especially in the naval arena. So India has given a lot of help in terms of that. So what I'm saying, there's no denial that just because of that doesn't mean that I am like, I am doing what a military instructor. No, I'm not even in the military. I'm not even served. Obviously, being part of the military family, of course I love the armed forces because they protect the country. Next, please. Okay, this is evidence that you don't have to believe me about terrorist statistics. This is the one that produced by the CIA. This is Country Reports on Terrorism 2022. And you can see that here is a PDF, People Defense Force. There's a terrorist group in Myanmar. From 2021 to how much the terrorism attacks have increased. This is a US CIA report, not my own report. Okay, next please. Yeah, so this is more or less my last slide. So my hope and wish is, we Myanmar people, including myself, has suffered for long. I give you an example. In Myanmar, we run one of the biggest online platforms. That's the name there. Yeah, we compete with Alibaba. Yeah, even Japanese company invested in us. Right, on the good days, before the military take over, we are making sales like about $800,000 a month from the online platform. Now we have difficulty selling $15,000 a month. Previously, before that, we have like 450 people staff. Now we have like 25. So you don't tell me that the rest of the people suffer. Hey, how about me? Oh, just if I want to be factual about that. And these figures I don't make it up because all these are facts. I reported figures to the investors and the government. And the fake news. The next one is my hope and wish is if the fake news come out of Chiang Mai, because Chiang Mai is a CIA headquarters in Thailand, right? People don't believe. But if India reporters and Indian journalists take these fake news and report it again, the whole world sort of believes that as if these are the fake news. Because I particularly noticed there's a lady on the YouTube called Pelka Sharma. Yeah, I don't know whether you heard of that or not. Her or not. She always talk about Myanmar news and how Myanmar military collapsing, Myanmar military using chemical weapons. We don't have chemical weapons. But when you produce the thing sounds very negative, right? So because at least she can fact check with people who know a little bit inside about military, rather than just take the fake news from Chiang Mai and straight away present as if it's true. It's not. Yeah. So that is making the situation in Myanmar a lot worse than being helpful. Yeah, so Well, the way forward, I guess we are seeing the better light because even the ASEAN minister, they made an announcement like 2 days ago, today or yesterday, where they're saying that the way previously there was a 5 points agreement that they have to want to have for Myanmar, Myanmar must have this, that. Now they don't do it anymore. What they do is, okay, Myanmar issues have to be resolved only the Myanmar internally and Myanmar way. That's what they accepted in a foreign ministers meeting. The announcement was, the communique was made yesterday. You can check it out, pull it out and see. Yeah, so is we got to the government is going to election, but without the peaceful going on, especially in most of the states, not most of the states, in some of the states along the borders and region, it's quite difficult to hold the election at this point of time. And then the key point is just now that Mr. Venka was saying, the term for the State Administration Council is going to be over at so we're going to have a bit of reshuffling, a bit of maybe interim government like Bangladesh or I don't know what we're going to have. So wait for the news the day after tomorrow, right? So they have probably, because in terms of probably new head of state or maybe new head of military, or we don't know, because on the economic front as well as on the military front, we have been performing below par. So we need to make some changes so that we can push the country forward and back to normal. Yeah, I guess that's all. Next. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's now have questions. Whoever wants to ask a question, kindly raise your hand, identify yourself, the microphone will come to you.
This is Kaulul Bhattacharjee. I'm a journalist with the Hindu, the newspaper. My question is that we have been hearing about the armed groups, ethnic armed groups that are active in your country. And some of them, by the way, have been to Delhi as well. They have visited, and I'm sure your government knows about this. My question is, with this sort of an interaction with both the government of Myanmar as well as the rebels, what is your impression about the Indian position? Do you think India has been fair with your government? Because India has given your government a lot of support, as you have also shown here about submarines and etc. But then we are also looking at the political reality on the ground, where we are finding that the junta forces are basically losing many towns near Indian border. So do you think Indian position is somehow balancing with the rebels as well as the government, the junta government? Do you think we are doing that, or would you prefer India to side more with the junta? What is your assessment? How do you look at it?
Okay. Sometimes the fact, that's why in my article, because I have contacts with lots of diplomats and consulates in Myanmar as well, because this Myanmar Insider is the only English language publication in the whole country, private publication, not the government. Don't talk about the government newspaper. Private is only myself. So they do read, every embassy, they do read this quite well. And they always ask me, is the military losing? Hey, I heard the news that our military is losing so many towns. That's why I write an article, and then how do you know that Myanmar military losing? So I would like to suggest that have a look at a small article about 5 points, or to determine if Myanmar military is losing. Obviously, you're right that some of the points, some of the small towns, they have retreated. So that could be a tactical retreat. I'm not inside the war room there. Yeah, so that could be a tactical retreat, because when you have like 20 army personnel manning outposts and you have like 200 people, the proper decision will be, hey, let's retreat first rather than getting everybody killed. Yeah, so that type of thing. So if you want to really assess whether the military is losing or not, I do not think so at all. Yeah, so you have to assess with this 4 key points. There's 5 key points, sorry. Yeah, for example, the first one I say is Myanmar Navy and Air Force is totally intact. Right, Navy is like 15 in the world. Right, Air Force is like 20-something rating in the world. So these two arms of the military is totally intact. So it's quite difficult to be saying that Myanmar military is losing. So technically they're not losing. So in that sense, they always have to be a second opinion on the facts that what is lost and what is which cities are lost. Small major outposts lost. Uh, Military tend to call it tactical retreat, but I don't know. That's the term that they use. So it's best to say about the what is it? The exact facts. And plus, some of the even the mainstream media already report. Some of them reported like 2 months ago that people are leaving Naypyidaw in droves. Totally not true. On that day when I hear the news, I was going to Naypyidaw and nobody is packing the bags. Yeah, so a lot of fake news are streaming into the mainstream, and so that type of thing. Obviously, I prefer the Indian government to engage more with the Myanmar government, right, in bilateral relations, because we have always been friends since don't know when, right? So it's good to have it that way. So especially the EAOs and the rebels issue is also one of the law and orders thing that I write about in this one article, because India also have autonomous provinces in some of your states, right? China also have autonomous region. Myanmar also have autonomous region. But the difference is, what's the difference or not? The difference in Myanmar autonomous region, the police and military is not from the central government. So how do you control that? Right. So, like that just now this gentleman was asking the kitchen state. Right. There's also sort of like autonomous or semi-autonomous region. Myanmar military is not there. Myanmar police is not there. So how do you control? So it's like Wild West. That's what happened in the northeast Shan state bordering the Chinese. So they have the infighting, and they're grabbing of the power. One party want to grab the land, the other party want to grab the land, but the government was not there. So so that's what happened on the government may be there in some outpost, just observation post. So when they attack, we retreated. So that's what happened. So to answer your question, yes, I would prefer the India government to have more engagement with the administration. That's how we can turn to the better side, right? Or the more democratic side, let's say, right? So go ahead, please.
Manu, yeah, use the microphone.
I saw a presentation that you said Facebook is the primary medium of communication in your country. Can you give us an overview of what is the status of Chinese social media applications in Myanmar? Are they used? If they are used, platforms like TikTok or others for dissemination of information, are they also as accessible to info ops as the American-owned Facebooks of the world?
Yeah, TikTok is quite popular in Myanmar as well. But the thing is not. I do not think that it's being used for the political purposes until now, right? It's just mainly, young girls and all these trying to become celebrities. That's all that's being used for the TikTok. Facebook is now in very political now, but a lot of people have realized that a lot of people have quit Facebook and stopped looking at that, right? And so even within family members, they become enemies because one believes the fake news and one is a part of the administration or part of the military or whatever. So they become enemies. So this, at the end of the day, Facebook is bad for the country, baseline.
KP?
KP Nayak, my name. I am a columnist for several Indian and foreign newspapers. You see, when the previous government came to power, when the so-called democratic government assumed power, there was a rush of Americans into the country. You allowed all sorts of Americans in without any restraint, without any restrictions. I mean, you talk about Facebook in its present state about Myanmar and fake stories being manufactured from Chiang Mai and all that. But this was all facilitated because you removed all the restrictions and you thought that the Americans were your friends, I mean, I mean, Americans are nobody's friends except their own, And I mean, I personally know there was someone from Washington, a friend of mine actually, who moved to Myanmar, and he was in Myanmar for 1 year teaching journalism to young Myanmarese people. And, it was nothing but indoctrination.
Correct.
So, if all this is happening now, in my humble view, you have yourself to blame.
Totally true.
Which is why look at India. In India, we are not, we are doing our best within the provisions of the constitution and the law to contain non-government organizations, non-profit NGOs, and also we didn't have we had an archaic law earlier for controlling the what is now grown into the digital media. But law is being created. I think Myanmar did not do anything of this sort. There were no safeguards. So my question is, if Myanmar is to return to some sort of democracy, and Tatmadaw is to play a secondary role, what is the guarantee? What guarantee can you offer us? People in India, for example, who are interested in stability of Myanmar, because that is in our own security interest. So, what guarantee is there that if democracy comes back, history will not be repeated?
Exactly. You're totally right. You're totally so true. Because during the term of the Aung San Suu Kyi from 2016 to 2020, loads of foreigners came in and loads of laws that prevent the, like household registration. You're a foreigner, you live in here, you got to report. All these things are all abolished. Yeah, so, it's like free for all thing. Yeah, and you're right that, they because it is, is in my opinion, I think it's not in the American interest to see a peaceful Myanmar that falling into the line with either the China or the India. Yeah, so that's why after the military takeover, 2020, 2021, so they have reinforced some of the rules like the ones that have in India. We screen the NGOs, and the one NGOs with most of them with the ulterior motives or not well recognized, or small ones that under the political arms of certain, for example, America, we ask them to go home. So hopefully we'll be there. It's just like, there's a quote by Socrates, right? Why the democracy failed, and he got killed because of he said democracy was bad. Yeah, because if you are, it's like would you get somebody who is not who has no knowledge to be voting to paddle a ship? He will not. Socrates say. Then why would you get majority who doesn't have much knowledge to vote for the leader of the country who has not much knowledge to govern the country? Yeah, that's what the Socrates quote in some way. So
as you told in informal session, you have a vast experience about banking, financing, and many fields. How your country can be rich or richer? First question. And second one is, what is the budget ratio of your country regarding military, education, any other field, various and many fields?
So I didn't get the first question that you asked was how Myanmar can grow richer.
Since you also wanted in your
Yeah,
lecture.
obviously. Oh, I always obviously, because who wants your country passport to be so so looked down upon, right? So you want your country to grow big, grow rich, right? So maybe like Singapore or whatever, you want to get richer. So one way, that's why I did speak to one World Bank's chief economist while I was in Beijing University, and he only said two words: political stability. Yeah, so obviously we need that. Without that, right, investment, right? Even investors from India, businessmen from India. Because the news is, maybe you can blame the fake news out there is what? Myanmar. The first thing that if you go to Myanmar, the first thing that your relatives will ask, you know what is that or not? Hey, is it safe or not? You going there, right? But Myanmar is very safe. In fact, really safe. Myanmar is safer than loads of countries in the Europe, and loads of I'm sure people, loads of Indian businessmen already doing loads of fair bit of businesses in Myanmar. I knew most of them. You can ask them any Indian business or expatriates who have stayed in Myanmar for the past 5 years, ask them whether Myanmar is safe or not. They will say, super safe. You can go at night, nobody will rob you, mug you in Yangon, in the big city. So the first point is political stability. Your second point is? Your second question is?
Budget ratio.
Oh, budgetary allocation.
Just in a brief or just for idea.
Well, we do need, I can just tell you that we do need more allocation into education and healthcare. That's what yeah.
Just one thing left. What is agriculture's role in making country rich?
What is the?
Agriculture's role.
Agriculture.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that is a little bit left.
Yeah. At this point of time, you know what is a Myanmar 3 export item? The first is rice. Second one is beans and pulses. Most of them to India, I think. The third one is Indian repackaged and sold all over the world. Myanmar beans and pulses. And the third is a corn. So when you see when you realize what our top 3 earners in the country are, you know how important agriculture is. But the thing is, agriculture alone will not, help us rich. Yeah, we got to go into other industry like manufacturing, so all these things.
Nothing fundamental in the question you were talking about.
We're talking about democracy, but the point is, when the so-called democratic government was there, about was it a complete democracy? But the fact remains, the military junta was also a component of that governance, in the sense that they had reserved category of members in the parliament. Aung San Suu Kyi could not become the head of the state. There are some constitutional limitations. I think more or less one saw, or rather sees there in Thailand. So when you say that that elections was fraudulent, so to blame only one particular component of that government, even though it was called democratic, the fact remains that if it was a fraudulent election, the military cannot abdicate its responsibility. And the whole point is that the counter narrative is this, that it was not allowed to really function like a democratic government in true sense of the term. Number one. Number two, we're talking of India, etc. The fact remains that things are not all that safe or stable there in the country, because what is happening, the lots of Myanmaris have crossed over. You know that our Mizoram, I think 500,000 people have come, and you think what is happening now. Manipur is a very troublesome thing. There also the Myanmaris people have come over. So this is not a sign of stability there in that country under the present rulers or the dispensation. The fact, or other question that is that, are you going to take these people back? And a related component of this narrative is this. That the Rohingyas is a huge problem. The Bangladesh through there, and our judiciary also has got involved in it. So the point is that what is the concrete solution that you, in your opinion, the Myanmarese government should have to tackle these problems? Thank you.
Okay, let me answer his first question about the not fully democratic. I guess if you look at Indonesia, right? Indonesia constitution started with 1/3 military. When the military finished, 1/3 military in the parliament. And now they slowly get out of the military, and they are now is no military in the parliament anymore. So Myanmar constitution will try to copycat that. Initially, we don't even have like 1/3 of that. Like Indonesia started. We want the 25% only. And that 25% do not restrict the government from doing almost anything except the change the constitution itself, which put up the criteria to become the president. Whether being president or not, Aung San Suu Kyi was sitting on top of the president. Even whatever the president want to do, I have to submit for her approval. So she is a de facto president. And there's please tell me one action that she cannot do, right? Except the being president in name only. She's already president in fact. Yeah, so it's not that, she can do everything, because in the parliament, you only need 51% of the vote. And her party got 61%. So all her party was doing her line. So she can do almost everything. But the fact is, thank God, I'm happy that we kept the military rule at that 25%. If not, our country will be in more serious trouble than what would have been. That is the answer to the first question. We follow the Indonesia rule. We have less military percentage than Indonesia rule, and there is nothing there is no restriction that she cannot do. She want to spend on healthcare, be able. She want to remove the legislation to track the illegal so-called sort of Rohingyas in the country. Yes, get rid of it, no problem. She did. So the fact that she was restricted in some sense is technically incorrect. Yeah, and your second question is, Myanmar people escaping to the borders and all the. Yes, it's true. That whenever there is conflicts in the border regions, and these people lack the means to come to the major cities or travel to overseas, they have no other choice but to escape across the border. Obviously, they are never prevented from coming back into the country, but at the same time, you're also partly right. Until the conflicts along the border regions are toned down, right? They themselves being scared, they may not be inclined to come back into Myanmar.
Yes, please. Yeah. There are two questions regarding the border. Your government is not going to do anything. Our government has come out with a proposal. As we have electrified the border of the Bangladesh, we are going to electrify the border of this Myanmar border with India. We are going to. A proposal has been sorted out. And the second question: if the media is propagating this fake news, why don't you create in your own country the media network is enlarged so that counterattack this fake news rather than coming to our country? Okay, it is okay. You can stay to our country also. You widen your own network so that you can counterattack the fake news.
The first question is about your electrification. I'm no expert on border issues, and I just know the issues roughly only. So I'm not in a position to comment. Obviously, I know that you have a border, the electrification border with Bangladesh. I also wish that we did that on our side also so many years ago. We did not. That's why we have so-called we call it Bengali issue. The world call it Rohingya issue. Right now we are facing that. Yeah. So.
Because of this Manipur crisis, our government is strengthened. They are going to create this electrification.
Yeah, obviously that is the Indian government choice. So we wish that we will have better. Obviously there will be checkpoints open up, so certain areas will be open. So the certain areas will be electrified fences. That happened, although it's not so good. Yeah, your second question was. Media network, yeah, because Myanmar do not have that many resources and that many technical and skill experts like India or China or even maybe slightly better than Thailand. So, and also there are so many people with this military takeover, so many people go against the government side and all these things. So it's very difficult to do the, you know, the nature of fake news. Yeah, because people watch the fake news, but when you counter that with the true news, people sell that. Oh, okay, yeah, that's it. So fake news. That's how the Facebook algorithm. You write fake news, right? For example, Ministry of Information, they write the fake news. They people report on the Facebook, and the thing was dropped. The page was dropped. So what I'm trying to say, that type of thing. Even my page, thank God I write in English. A lot of people reported that, you know, this page is writing fake news. Actually, I didn't write any fake news. But that because I write in English, so people can, the Facebook people, Facebook algorithm can figure out that what I'm telling. But if you write in Burmese language, this Burmese language, what is jurisdiction, so-called algorithm, the jurisdiction of whether the news is fake or not is determined by like 10 to 15 Myanmar people who are employed in Facebook. So once these people, depending on who they support, they can decide that, let's say you are the one creating the true news, right? I'm the guy who is in Facebook saying, well, people report your thing. They remove your pages. Then what can you do? Right, so that's the issue.
Ashok?
I want to know, what is the attitude of this military government regarding the Rohingyas? Are you going to take back the Rohingyas from India who have migrated?
I don't think there's any issue with India.
India also there is.
Issue is in India. They are in Jammu and Kashmir now.
Yes, there are Rohingyas. So, what is your attitude towards the Rohingyas?
If you talk about this Rohingya issues or illegal Bengali issues, or the history go back to so many years during the time of the British, when the British bring that to them to Myanmar. So because of the lack of proper fencing or defense of the border, so more people, Bangladesh population is like 200 million. Myanmar population is like 50 million, and Myanmar is like 3 times the size of Bangladesh. And half of the Bangladesh is flooded during the rainy season. So obviously, it's not so natural that they come into the farmlands around this border region. So obviously, that started, issues through the action or inaction of successive government. I can tell you when the Rohingya issue first exploded. During the 2016-17, Aung San Suu Kyi time, when the issue, because previously the chief ministers and even the president, they visited these regions, especially Budida Maungdaw region, once every 6 months. Chief minister was there like once every month or once every 3 months. So when the supervisor was there, you are Hindu, you are Muslim, you may not fight because there's somebody on top of you trying to appease both of you. But during the last administration, they did not visit the region. Until from 2015 until 2017, the chief minister has never been to that region, never visited. So when the supervisory body or the chief is not around, even you and I are brothers, what do you think we will do with each other? We'll fight. So that's the issue with that because of the lack of proper control and monitoring and management. That's the initial issue come up. So obviously, it's not that we're not taking back. We have a repatriation program. I think if I'm not wrong, because I'm not the government agency, so I will tell you the news that I think I remember. We have already taken 2 batches. One is like 7,000, the other batch is like 9,000 or something. So as long as they wanted to come back and they want to stay in the areas that are being allocated by Myanmar government, they are welcome to come back. We are not rejecting them at all. That is the position.
Kallol?
Well, the situation is continuing for the last 3 years, and obviously, I'm sorry if you can just forgive me for being a little frank. You haven't really done a great job because the fighting continues even now. So,
Fighting where?
I mean, in Myanmar, in different parts of Myanmar.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So, I mean, in that context, the head of the Vietnamese monastery in Bodh Gaya, he has broached a proposal whereby he has said that the junta leaders as well as the rebels, they should all come to Bodh Gaya, and he would love to host both sides for several days, and they can participate in some kind of a dialogue. Do you think that's possible? That would you prefer someone start a dialogue between the two sides, or rather multiple sides, because you have so many armed groups as well? Dr. Lam is quite venerated in the Buddhist circles, and he is the head of the Vietnamese monastery in India. So, do you think? I mean, this is his idea, but do you think either him or some other entity could initiate dialogue between the two sides and bring it to a successful turn?
Yeah, okay. Myanmar government is not against dialogue. At the same time, the baseline that the rebels is asking is a change in constitution to 1988. 1980. So there's a constitution, 2008 constitution. They want a change of the constitution. Myanmar government do not want to change the constitution. So there's a fundamental, if you're talking about husband and wife, there's an irreconcilable differences at the baseline level. So without that, without that, it's difficult to negotiate when you're at the baseline is not the same. You want to change the constitution. I want to negotiate based on that. By accepting, you come here, you accept the basic constitution that we have drawn in 2008. For you here, no, we change the constitution first. We have to agree to change. So that is a fundamental. The first question that you asked about why not clear the rebels and all this thing. Yeah, that has been, in my opinion, personal humble opinion, is as the errors of successive government are being solved. Just now I talk about the difference between your autonomous regions and our autonomous regions, right? So, when you have this type of arrangement, it's very difficult to go, because there are certain regions in Myanmar I cannot go, without military or some big army help. Yeah, that's I'm a Myanmar citizen, I cannot go. How come? Yeah, so and plus the leadership is against attacking our own ethnic minority, because we believe that they are our brothers and sisters.
KP?
What is the state of relations between Myanmar and Russia? I understand that Russia has become the biggest arms supplier to Myanmar now.
Yeah, obviously after the military takeover, right? Well, the military has very close relations. We have so many active military personnel studying at the Russia University, Russia Defense Forces. So we have strong links with Russia, no doubt about that. So obviously because of that, we would have acquired most of the weapons from Russia too.
Pablo, you have any question?
No.
All right, thank you.
Aung San Suu Kyi is still seen as the democratic face of your country, and she was toppled on the 1st of February 3 years ago. You're saying that something was going to happen on the 1st of February. What is it? And one of your ministers was telling me the last time I was there that this is no longer the era of Aung San Suu Kyi. Was he suggesting that she was incompetent? Was he suggesting that there is no second line of leadership in her party? What are your views on that?
Obviously, a lot of sort of second or whatever line of leadership has gone into to form the new exiled government called the NUG, National Unity Government. I don't think they are communicating. I don't think they're listening to her either, because when the Thailand Deputy Prime Minister went to see her, she specifically said that these terrorists she has nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with her. So, which means they are not under her control. Yeah. So obviously, going back to that, Lee Kuan Yew was probably right. The Singapore Prime Minister said Aung San Suu Kyi best stay as a democratic icon rather than being in the government, because she knows that if she manages the government, right, she will be. She's not going to be so competent.
So, are there any plans to have elections at all in your country? If so, when is it likely?
Yeah, obviously, I'm not the right person to be answering that. According to the government, obviously, that we need some sort of peaceful administration in majority of the parts of Myanmar to have the elections to be successful. Otherwise, people will say that, only half of the country is not voting. How do you call it a proper election? Then that will issue will arise again.
May I invite Simran to propose a vote of thanks?
Mr. Chan, from all of us here at the Foreign Correspondents Club, a big thank you for coming here. We've had a very interesting presentation and a very interesting discussion. And this discussion has been streamed live on Twitter and the Facebook page. And the discussion will also be available in the archives section of the FCC Facebook page in case anyone wants to access it later. Once again, thank you so much for being with us. And if anyone is doing a report, please do mention that the interaction took place at the FCC today. Thank you, Mr. Chan, once
Thank
again.
you. Thank you very much.
Can you present him that memento?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You don't have to give me. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's actually a very useful initiative.